Is Zuckerberg going to show up?
Well, yeah, we're reporting that he will make an appearance. I mean, the heavy lifting is going to be done by the CFO and probably the COO, but yeah,
Okay.
it does look like he actually will show.
For the whole thing, or I guess he was going to be at some meetings?
In and out, right? And I mean, yeah, is tie and jacket optional, I guess? I'm not sure.
He's got a business to run and a persona to keep up.
Absolutely.
So there was some talk that this roadshow would be, actually before I get to that,
Yes.
tell us about the roadshow, why this is important, and what it means for the timing of the IPO.
Well, you know, the roadshow could kick off next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is what we're reporting, which means that the IPO could actually happen, say, May 18th is the date that we're all looking at. So maybe sooner than some recent skeptics had thought. So you're looking at the company going public relatively soon. And as you say, it's hotly anticipated, right?
You're referring to some stories that said that they were going to delay the roadshow, and that
exactly.
was, I guess, related maybe potentially to some issues with some deals they had completed, maybe updating their filings, but that's not an issue?
That doesn't seem to be the case. No, they're going ahead.
Okay, great. So, I mean, what are they going to be doing on the roadshow? They're going to be teaching basically introducing investors to the company
and to the business, right?
And
how things are going. Yeah.
And how, one of the big things, of course, that we got recently, was it last week, I guess? They reported their first quarter numbers.
Right.
And the first quarter numbers weren't great.
Right.
Their revenue actually fell from the fourth quarter to the first quarter.
And profits were down on the year, right?
Yeah, and their users are still growing, which is kind of impressive when you consider that they're not even China, and 12% of the rest of the world was already on Facebook.
Yeah.
But the revenue number, how much of a problem is that for investors?
No, I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, you teased sort of at the beginning of this that, you know, advertisers are to some degree uncertain about, you know, what exactly they're getting out of Facebook. I mean, no one can afford to ignore them. They've got 900 million users and growing. You know, it's a massive audience. The people are highly engaged. So, you know, you assume there's a lot of potential there. But the reality is there are no metrics like tracking what happens after people see a Facebook ad, and Facebook is sort of, in their view, being overly cavalier about not allowing them to get in there and do these measurements. So
that's a great point we should mention. But before, I just want to pitch. We got Suzanne and Shandy's great story on B1 in the Journal. There's some great graphics here. Like, what are you actually getting when you buy a Facebook ad? For instance, you know, 125 million impressions on Facebook is about equivalent to 6.5 color pages in People magazine. You know, which is a better deal, or two 30-second spots on American Idol, which is the better deal. Now, but what you're saying, which is a very interesting point from this article, is tracking.
Exactly.
Right. When we talk about, for instance, with Google, one of the amazing things about the Google system is you can actually drop a little bit of code. You don't have to be very sophisticated on your website.
Right.
So when you buy a Google ad, you can actually track, okay, somebody clicked from a Google search page, came to my site and actually bought something. So I can track
made an actual purchase,
to the penny what my return on investment was. I spent this much on the ad, I got this much in sales as a result of it.
Right.
But Facebook, because it's social marketing, it's a little different. It can't deliver that, or it just won't.
Well, part of it is that they won't. You know, part of it is that, you know, a lot of the activity seems to be brand building as opposed to like driving actual purchases. You know, and there are mixed views in the advertising community about what works. Like they talked to the head of Kia marketing in North America, and he's saying, well, you know, he's still going to increase spending on Facebook, but he doesn't know whether that's leading to selling more cars. Ford, on the other hand, is pretty sure that when they diverted money from Super Bowl ads to Facebook, that they got a much higher sort of level of interest in shopping for new vehicles.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's an element of guesswork here, and obviously the more metrics and the more data you give the advertising community, the more confident they're going to be about putting more money in over time, and that obviously would lead to more stable revenue growth.
They're working with Nielsen, they're working with ComScore to create some of that.
Yeah, but it's not to the level they want. And you know, I mean, there's a reason for this. Obviously, people are on Facebook because they want to share photos and connect with people, not because they want to see a bunch of ads and make Madison Avenue happy.
See, that's
so you've got to balance, you know, how much you do for advertisers with, you know, keeping your users engaged and, you know, not turned off.
Google demonstrated, look, you can do that. You can have both. You can put the ads right on top of the search results page.
Right.
People will click on them enough to generate billions of dollars of revenue for those guys.
Well, and people search a lot of times when they're looking to buy something. So they're already, you know, you're being helpful when you give them the ad, maybe. And with Facebook, that's not what they're looking for.
Is that a final concern maybe with Facebook? Is the thing about Google is it really is an ideal. It still is the ideal online advertising play, because you're hitting people right when they're indicating to you, I want to buy something now. I'm looking for that.
Right, and Facebook
it's demand fulfillment, not demand generation, as it's called. You're further down the purchase funnel, as people like to say.
No, that's
and so those ads are worth a lot more. Can Facebook overcome that just by virtue of its size, really?
I mean, it's a good question. You know a lot about what people are interested in on Facebook, but you know, purchasing isn't necessarily part of that. It is in some cases, and you know, as the audience grows big enough, then you know maybe there are enough of those cases where you can like capitalize on that.
Yeah.
You know, but certainly it's also a big audience where you try and just create a brand image, and you know, the same way you do with television, for example.